They don't hate us for being in Israel. They hate us for what we are. They don't care about the fact that we're in Israel. Because if you ask them right now, if all the Jews right now in Israel would convert to Islam, would you invade us on October 7th? They say, no. Well, what reasoning would we have to invade you? I mean, so now the Muslims are controlling Al-Aqsa. What reason would we have to attack you? The whole thing is a Muslim argument. Nothing to do with land. Nothing. And people need to get this.
Today's guest is Sahar, the face behind SaharTV, one of the fastest growing pro-Israel voices online, known for debating anti-Israel activists live and completely dismantling their arguments in real time. But what most people don't know, on October 7th, he wasn't watching from the outside. He was inside Israel when it happened. He woke up to a call, locked the doors, terrorists are outside, and within hours, people online were calling it fake. Since then, he's been on the front lines of what he calls a global information war, exposing propaganda, confronting influencers, and warning about how narratives around Israel are being shaped in real time. Sahar, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Take me back to that moment. You wake up on October 7th, your sister calls you. What did you actually see and feel at that time?
First of all, it was a Saturday morning. Back then, I wasn't keeping Shabbat. Now I do. I got a call from my sister. She was panicking. The time was, I think, 11 or 12. I was sleeping in. I got a call. She's shaking, and she's almost crying on the phone. She's saying, lock the doors. There's terrorists outside. Now, a lot of people heard me say that on the Joe Pags show, the terrorists were outside. Terrorists were outside in Israel. I wasn't in the South. But I locked the doors. There was already rumors that terrorists were starting to get closer to the Tel Aviv area, Herzliya area, Kfar Saba area. So I locked the doors. I didn't know anything. I turn on the TV and I see the horrific damage happening in Israel. Cars are on fire, bodies, down the street, crazy footage. And the first thing I do before checking anything else is I go online and I want to see if the world finally understands our situation, if the world finally understands the Jews and what we've been telling all along. And what I find out is horrific. People think we're making this up. People think we're faking those images. People don't even think that there was a festival. They think it's a Bruno Mars concert. And from that moment, I say, okay, I have a strength in me. I have something that is pretty good with the way I lived. I lived in the United States for a little bit. I speak English pretty well. My skin color is a bit darker, so people can call me a white colonizer like they usually like to call the Ashkenazi Jews, which are not European colonizers, but that's off topic. I get on live debates, and I start talking to people, not giving much importance to it. When I log off, I start getting a lot of messages from more people telling me, hey, come and debate this person, come and debate this person, come and join this live, come and join this live. And I keep getting a lot of messages from many Israelis and many Jews around the world telling me to do more and more debates. So really, I didn't give much importance or significance to it, but people saw good in it. They felt empowered. They liked the way I was speaking. They liked the way that the conversations were going. So I kept doing that, and slowly, I started shifting to one-on-one conversations. The normal videos you usually see now, where I talk to people on Omi TV or You Mingle, and it's a face-to-face conversation. And from that moment, everything took off. People loved seeing that face-to-face interaction. They loved seeing a person that is civilized, a person that knows his facts, and the other person who's first of all not civilized, cursing my sister and my family, talking negatively about my wife. It's really easy to make up your mind when you see these two people have the conversation. You know, that one is civilized, one isn't. It's pretty easy to make up your mind. From that moment, I decided that I'm dedicating my life towards this. I quit my job. I started getting equipment. I started recording stuff more and more. And I'm here today.
What a journey.
Yeah.
You mentioned that on October 7th, you would think that there would be some sympathy towards Israel, but already we were losing the PR war. Where do you think we are right now? If you look at TikTok, you look at X, you look at other platforms, it feels like the narrative is slipping. What is your assessment?
It's definitely a numbers game, right? When there's 15, 16 million Jews around the world, when some of them are not even Zionist, and you have almost 2 billion Muslims around the world spreading the same fake propaganda, same emotional arguments, how are you going to beat that? It's impossible. So, by the way, I took a different approach. I stopped talking about Israel on my YouTube channel, and I started devoting 99% of my time towards a new series that I launched. It's called The West Has Fallen. And in this series, I'm showing different videos, different footage from around the world, exposing the Islamic invasion to the West. Every single video is exploding. People love watching that, and they also hate watching that. That's why it's getting so much exposure. So instead of focusing on the Jews all the time and how the Jews are evil and how the Jews are doing this and how the Jews are doing that, most of my energy is dedicated towards exposing the real enemy to the West, the real enemy of the West, which is Islam. You know, if you keep saying Jews, Jews, yeah, the Jews did this, no, we didn't do this, you're always on the defensive. You're always trying to defend a point, and then you look guilty. So I decided to remove that from my arsenal and started focusing on what works, on what matters to the world, because at the end of the day, you don't see Jews burning the American flag. You don't see Jews burning the Canadian flag. You don't see Jews going around Europe and saying Jewish supremacy will take place in Europe. You don't see that. You do see that from a different type of people, and that's what I'm exposing on my YouTube channel. And it's working. Most of my viewership is not even coming from Israel. Only 20% of my viewers are from Israel. The rest, United States, United Kingdom, France, Brazil, a lot from New Zealand. It's working.
Wow. So in that case, do you think that there's anything that Israel could do to fix their PR, or is just there's nothing? I mean, because some people I speak to say that, oh, Israel has to do a better job, but is that even possible? Like, we're losing the war.
I don't think the effort should come from the country. I mean, if the country wants to pay creators, that's fine. But I'm saying the work, the best effort, in my opinion, that could solve the situation, that could solve the PR war, is people like me, people like Tal, the traveling clat, which I adore, people like, what's his name? Joseph from, I forgot the name of his YouTube channel. What's it called?
He's Joseph Cohen. He's Israel.
Advocacy movement. Incredible channel. Talia Yosef and a bunch of other incredible creators that have face-to-face conversation. It doesn't look like there's a big country behind them. It looks like they're representing their people on their own. Those face-to-face conversations, if we are multiplying that or quadrupling it, or, imagine having 20 people like us or 50 people like us, which, by the way, by the day, we are seeing more and more people joining this kind of movement, doing the same types of videos, and every single video explodes. Every video. Look at Tal the Traveling Clat. He started doing this. All of his videos are exploding. There's another guy that just started. I forgot his name. I think his name is Dave. Unbelievable content. It's working. People love seeing that face-to-face interaction. So if you were asking me what would be the best way to solve this PR conflict, would be to multiply the same method that we're using. 100%.
Yeah. You have a guy, Nick Matau. I don't know if you...
Nick Matau, what a person. What a person. And by the way, I kept going on Nick's lives and telling him, bro, get on Omi TV. Start having those conversations. You're doing an incredible job on TikTok. And by the way, when I started doing TikTok debates 2 years ago, Nick was already doing it for, I think, 2 or 3 more years. He was doing it way before us. He's got incredible knowledge. Nick Matau, shout out to you. I love you, brother. You're incredible. And in my opinion, you're the GOAT of the debating space. You remember dates like unbelievable, like an unbelievable person. Unbelievable, really. I'm adoring Nick Matau. He's incredible. And people should follow him, by the way. And every video that I make of him, commentary, anything like that, I tell people to go follow him because I do think he's the next big thing. Absolutely.
Yes. I was fortunate to interview him recently.
Good for you. You're lucky.
Yeah. You have someone like Tucker Carlson, for example, who questions Israel, puts Israel down. He has a massive audience. What effect do you think that has?
Major effect. The problem with the audience of Tucker Carlson is that his audience doesn't actually research the stuff that he says. And the moment Tucker Carlson said one specific thing, he lost the battle, in my opinion. He said, I just bought a house in Qatar because I'm an American. What the hell? What does that have to do with you being an American? That has nothing to do with you being an American. You want to be an American? Buy a house in the United States. Why do you have to buy it in a foreign country? Something about Tucker's behavior seems incredibly off, and people can smell it, they can feel it, they can sense it. You were speaking positively about Israel only a few years ago. What happened? Candace, you were speaking positively about Israel only a few years ago. What happened? What, you're noticing that there's a lot more engagement on the other side of the fence? You're noticing that speaking negatively about the Jews gets you the clicks and likes and monetization deals that you want? It's working really well, but You sold your values for those clicks and likes. You sold your values. You're Christians. How dare you criticize the land where Jesus, your God, was born on? How dare you do that? How dare you do that? And by the way, Jesus never told, and people are confusing this all the time. Jesus said, I am not here to change anything. I'm only here to promote the words of the scriptures. And whoever dares to change one word should be punished. One word. So check this out. Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens are disobeying their God, Jesus, which I don't believe is God, but they do.
And Tucker seems to be leaning very much into Islam. You know, you have videos of him saying that Sharia law is bad. Now he's saying it's good. Do you think he's trying to get the Christians and Muslims together against the Jews? Is that what his plan?
100%. And to say that the Christians and the Muslims, are just incredible friends. Yeah, tell that to the Christians in Europe that, their churches are getting burnt. Tell that to the Christians then. How about you tell that to the Christians 1400 years ago that were subjugated by the Muslims? How about you do that? Or how about you take the verse from the Quran telling the Muslims to not befriend the Jews and the Christians because they are allies to one another? They should not be friends with the Muslims. How about you tell that to the Christians who were told not to build higher churches than mosques to show the difference in status, difference in class? How about you tell that to the Christians that were subjugated under jizya? Pay jizya because you're not a believer, you're a kafir, and you should be fought. How about you tell that to the Christians? I mean, it wasn't actually a Christian attack, but it was an attack against the West. That were attacked on 9/11 because you live in a Western country that was built on Judeo-Christian values. How about you tell that to them? So 100%, Tucker Carlson is trying to alienate the Jews by trying to form an alliance, a fake alliance between the Christians and the Muslims. But the Muslims don't respect you. They look at you as easy prey, as people who turn the other cheek, who would allow them to go inside their lands. And then once they do, they will bring more babies, allow more people to come and do the hijrah, allow more mosques and madrasas to be built in your country, infiltrate American politics and European politics. And once they're inside, oh boy, I'm not even jealous. That's irreversible. There's nothing that could be done. There's nothing that could be done. You're going to be screwed. So what Tucker Carlson is doing right now, which to me seems paid, allegedly, I have no proof to prove it, is going to backfire on you in 50, 60 years from now. And then you're going to say, oh, yeah, the Jews were right all along. You were right all along. So, yeah, I'm incredibly disappointed at people like Tucker, incredibly disappointed at people like Candace, Nick Fuentes, who do this for the wrong reasons.
And one other thing that Tucker said is that Christians are persecuted in Israel when all around the Middle East, there's no place like Israel for Christians. It just seems like it's not just that he's saying lies. He's lying about the Muslim countries. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something it's unbelievable. You come to Israel for a few hours, you debate Mike, you say that Israel harassed you in the airport. It's just one lie after another.
At the end of the day, if stats don't lie, whether you try to flip them or not, stats don't lie. In Iraq, in 2003, how many Christians did you have? Do you know the number? You had 1.5 million Christians in Iraq in 2003. Today, you have less than 200,000. That's a decrease of 75%. In Lebanon, you had a majority Christian population. Today, you have a minority. How do you explain that? In Egypt, Coptic Christians are persecuted daily. Churches are being burnt. How do you explain that? In Qatar and Saudi Arabia, you cannot even preach Christianity out loud in the public. But the only country where Christians are prospering, the only one, I think they had 38,000 Christians in 1948, and today they have at least 185,000. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? You can't. So, of course, you can always take videos of some Jews, some Orthodox Jews spitting on Christians. Of course, you can take that and say, yeah, all the Jews do that, but that's not the case. Go and ask Christians that visited Israel, were you spat on? They'll be like, what? Spat on? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? So yeah, when you try to portray a specific narrative and you only focus on specific situations, specific events, it's really easy to paint a different picture. But if you actually visit Israel and not listen to people like Tucker, you're going to be surprised like crazy. Trust me. So listen to me. Visit Israel and see for yourself the incredible reality that Christians live under. That's all.
Why do you think we're seeing this shift on the right? You have people saying America first, Why are we giving into Israel? All that stuff, and then it kind of shifts into anti-Semitism.
It's a good question. I'm going to be honest. Why am I seeing it from the right? I mean, the reason why we're seeing it from so many streamers, in my opinion, is because it does generate a lot of views and a lot of likes and a lot of engagement. And as YouTubers, you and I know that that's the way to monetize off of this platform. Do I think some of those people actually believe it? Yes. Do I think most of those people do it for the wrong reasons? 100. At the end of the day, if you focus on Israel and you fail to focus on and by the way, AIPAC is not Israel. AIPAC is American Jews. You know, some Jews that have been here since the 1600s. So the fact that people choose AIPAC to be Israel when it's solely funded by American Jews, keyword is American. They're just American just like you. And fail to focus on Saudi Arabia that lobbies in the United States, and fail to focus on Qatar that lobbies in the United States, and changes your education system from within to make you hate your own country and hate the Jews and globalize the intifada. Again, it's the same thing that Tucker Carlson is doing. It's self-sabotaging. Because if you get rid of your Jewish population in the United States and you all of a sudden become tolerant of the Muslim immigrants, the Islamists, I hate saying Islamists because there's no actual difference. All Muslims want Sharia law. If you don't want Sharia law, you're not a Muslim. You can believe in borders. You can subjugate to the kuffars. You can subjugate to the disbelievers. So Islam to me is universal. Islamism is just a made-up term made up by Western politicians to shield Islam from criticism, just like Islamophobia. Same thing. So yes, we're seeing a shift from the right. In my opinion, from what I'm seeing, it's done for the wrong reasons. It's done for clicks. It's done for likes. It's done for engagement, solely for monetization purposes. Nothing else.
Do you think it's some beliefs that they always had that was just exposed now, or that they just changed their opinions about Israel and the Jews?
You're talking about the criticism to Israel?
Yeah.
No, I think a lot of those content creators love. And by the way, I have a trophy for those people, and I want to show it to you. Just a second. So I have a friend made me give me a trophy to give to people that I talk to on social media. Right. I have TikTok University. I have Hamas spokesperson of the day, Human Rights Only When Convenient Award. I have #1 in selective quoting. So most of those people will find quotes on Twitter from the Talmud while knowing nothing about the Talmud, and then they'll take it out of context. So all of those content creators literally know nothing about the topic. They only select the talking points that work for them and change their narrative that way. If I think that they started, if they've had these feelings all along, then Bilzerian, BS. No, that's not the case. The moment I saw Dan Bilzerian sitting and reading the Quran like this, like studying from the Quran, there's an incentive here. There's an incentive to push Islam out to you, make it appear peaceful to you, while alienating the Jews. Dave Smith would make a perfect capo in the Holocaust. Perfect capo. He would sell his brothers and sisters to save his ass. Maybe that's one of the methods. He doesn't look at himself as an American Jew. He looks at himself as an American first, and he sometimes throws in the Jew to make it seem like a tokenizing aspect. I don't think these people were actually Jew haters before. I think it's something that is developing now. I think there's an incentive behind it. Again, I have no way to prove it, but that's what it seems like.
Yeah, Dave Smith only uses the Jew badge when he's in a debate, and he says, "I can say this. I'm the only Jew on this panel. Well, I could say this because I'm a Jew." And then he goes bashing Israel with that badge. What about Megyn Kelly, who tried to stay in the middle for a while, and now she's going towards the Tucker Candace camp? Do you think that's because of how she sees that anti-Israel content is performing better for her and her numbers, or is it something else?
I think it's herd mentality. She sees that it's working for her friends. She doesn't want to get criticized by her audience, saying $7,000 were paid to you, Megyn, and all of these things, all of these fake propaganda talking points. So yes, it's herd mentality. She's seeing it's working for Tucker. She's seeing it's working for Candace. She's seeing it's working for Nick Fuentes. Why not join it? Why not take a little bit of the pot? And by the way, the moment Ben Shapiro attacked her on stage, she was like, okay, that's it. That's the final straw. I'm joining it. I don't think these people are actually anti-Semitic. I generally don't think so. But they do spread evil ideology for their own gains, which I don't appreciate.
On the other hand, you have somebody like Mehdi Hasan, who's very polished. He knows how to speak, but it seems like he's also a propagandist, frequent guest on Piers Morgan. What do you make of him?
Mehdi Hasan?
Yeah.
So I have his book, How to Win Every Debate. And in this book, it says this: if you only rely on rational, factual information, you're going to lose the debate almost every single time. The Jews, that's what we do. We bring rational, factual information. Why did we attack in South Lebanon? Because Hezbollah has been abusing his powers with us since October 8th and firing rockets. That's why we're in there. But then he's going to go to the emotional appeal and say, you're bombing schools, you're bombing hospitals, there's dead children. Can you tell that to the dead grandma that you just killed? Always going to the emotional appeal. He said in his book, if I appeal to an emotional aspect of the argument more than you, and it's going to be 40-60, I'm going to beat you in a debate every single time. And he's correct. People reason with emotion way more than they reason with logic, you know? That's why, for example, when you want to get donations for a cancer patient, you're not going to say 150 cancer patients are looking for donations. You're going to show one child sitting on a bed, crying. That's the emotional aspect. That's what works. That's what appeals to the masses. That's what Mehdi Hasan does. Always appealing to an emotional aspect. And it's working really well. And I think we should do the same. I'm not saying we should ditch our rational, factual information that we give to people, but we need to talk about different situations that happen in this country way before October 7th. Talk about the Fogel family. Talk about the Fogel family. A family of 5, I mean, there's more kids, but 5 family members were stabbed to death. Their youngest daughter, I think she was 9 months old. I think she was really young, or 3 months old. She was beheaded. She was beheaded. People need to know about the atrocities that happened to the Jews. If we always say, yes, we're defending ourselves, but we don't actually talk about the atrocities, about the first intifada, second intifada, the third intifada in 2015, about the Arab revolt, the Hebron massacre, all of these things, we have to give those examples and give singular situations that took place in those events, not just talk about the events as overall situations. People aren't going to reason with us. They're not going to align with our viewpoint. We have to do this. We have to play the same game. And that's the reason why I started The West Has Fallen, because they show Israeli settlers doing this. I'm going to show Muslims burning Christmas trees and burning mosques. I'm going to play the same game. And that game is now backfiring on them.
What about in your debates? Do you use that type of style, or what style has worked for you?
So yes, I decided to go from the more of a defensive approach to an offensive approach. The moment people call us colonizers or invaders, and usually the people that accuse us of that are Muslims, then I say, what did Islam do in the 7th century? Would you like to tell me? How did you get all the way to Spain? How did you get all the way to India? How did you do that? If you truly have a problem with colonizers or invaders, then first look within yourself and within your own religion. You know, if they say you kill kids, do you know how many kids were killed in the Islamic invasion during the 7th century? Do you know how many people were killed overall? More than 150 million people during this conquest. Anything to say about that? For sure, kids were killed. Would you like to tell me anything about the civil war in Syria? 500,000 people were killed. They estimate 300,000 kids were killed in the Syrian civil war. Would you like to tell me about the Muslims who are currently starving in Yemen? Why are you failing to mention that? So I always go on the attack. I don't try to defend our position. I go on the attack with their specific belief system to show them that they have selective outrage. And I really couldn't care less about their opinion.
Do you feel like their arguments are just, they only have a few arguments that they keep using over and over again?
Sure.
You find any new ones, or?
No, it's the same arguments every single time. Always, Israel's committing genocide in Gaza. Well, the population is growing. That's BS. Israel's committing ethnic cleansing. Israel's discriminating against the Arabs. Tell that to the 2 million Arabs living in Israel. Some of them are lawyers. Some of them are judges. Some of them are doctors. 25% of the Arab population in Israel are doctors. Sorry, 25% of the doctors in Israel are Arabs. Unbelievable stat. So if there's truly an intent to ethnically cleanse and genocide the Arabs, if that's the intent, why are the Arabs in Israel prospering? Why don't they move to any other Muslim country and live there under their Sharia, under their Islamic rule? Because they're having a pretty good time in Israel. These are the talking points, the usual talking points. Oh, you like to kill kids. You like to kill women. Always the emotional appeal, all the time. But children and women die in war. A war that you started, and now you're crying about it? Give me a break. You don't want women to die? You don't want children to die? fine, I'm with you. I don't want it to happen as well. Don't mess with the Jews, and the Jews won't mess with you back. It's that simple. And I don't care about the emotional explanations, the emotional appeals. Don't attack us. We won't attack back. That's simple.
What do you think about Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian's style of shouting down their opponents, cursing their opponents?
It's I think the whole thing is staged. I think, and by the way, I think Piers knows this, and that's the reason why he keeps inviting both of them on the show time and time again. At the end of the day, it's showbiz. You know, you have to retain the audience as long as possible. So when you have people like Cenk screaming and saying, it's the Jews who did this, what are you talking about, the Jews? Then it gets people to stay and watch the show, despite the fact whether they agree with him or disagree with him. It generates views. Same with Ana Kasparian. Aren't they part of the same organization, the Young Turks?
Okay.
Same style. He probably told her, listen, Anna, whenever you go on Piers Morgan, just scream as loud as possible. It works. He's going to keep inviting us back. Be as disgusting and as obnoxious as possible. And people seem to love it. But the majority of the people that seem to love that are the Islamic community. So couldn't care less, really. I hate their style of debating. I hate their style of screaming instead of being calm, collected. There's a really good debater that I adore, and I think you should interview him as well. I forgot his name, but he debated Dave Smith not too long ago, and he's a part of the Free Press.
What's his name?
Coleman Hughes. That's his name.
Yes, yeah.
Unbelievable. The way he debated Dave and the way Dave was trying to divert the attention, divert the conversation, and the way Coleman always brought back the conversation to his talking points in a calm and relaxed manner. And he brought him all the facts, all the evidence. Everybody in the comment section said Dave looked like a fool. At that moment, I realized that Dave doesn't know how to debate. I mean, he's good at tiptoeing, but he's not good at debating. That's the style of debate that needs to be displayed on Piers Morgan. Less of the Cenk Uygur, less of the Ana Kasparian, but for Piers, it's not going to be good. It's not going to retain audience. It's not going to engage his videos, and his channel's going to die that way. He needs people to scream. He needs people to shout. He needs people to say, you disgusting piece of shit. He needs that. He needs that. That's all.
Do you remember the Jerry Springer show?
Of course.
Yeah. So you think that's what he's trying to create with his platform?
Yep. That's what I think he's trying to create. I mean, a little bit more toned down, a little bit more like relaxed, because again, it's not the crazy stuff that we saw on Jerry Springer. But yeah, for sure, 100%. It's YouTube. It's a business. You know this. You have the plaque behind you. I have the plaque behind me. You have to retain audience as long as possible, and that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Do you think that type of debate platform is helping the truth at all, or is
Nope.
it creating some? Is it hurtful? Is it detracting?
Of course, it's hurtful. Of course, it's hurtful. And no matter who you bring on the show, no matter how convincing this pro-Israeli person is, no matter how much facts he's holding in his arsenal, doesn't matter. The people on the Piers Morgan show, the people that watch it, are already sold. You know, they're going to say, oh, yeah, he's probably paid. Oh, yeah, the same fake talking points. I mean, there's great people on the show that keep coming on the show. Jonathan Conriquez, I think he's awesome. I think he speaks truth, facts, but look at the comments down below. It's a sold situation from the get-go. So instead of trying to join other people's platforms, grow your own platforms, try to display your narrative, which is what I tried to do. Change the narrative on your own. Don't rely on anybody else to dictate what the future will hold. Because right now, if we're going according to the Piers Morgan show, it doesn't look very bright.
Yeah, it seems like he has a very easy time getting the anti-Israel guests, but
yeah, most of his shows from the last 2 years are 90% of them are about Israel.
Yeah, it's a big obsession. You said something powerful in your previous interviews. You said that people are repeating propaganda without even realizing it. How does that happen? Do you think most people spreading this anti-Israel content are lying, or they're just manipulated?
I think they're not informed. If I see a person repeating a talking point, for example, about the Talmud, then what I would see, in order to check if they actually know about the Talmud, I would ask them which one, which version. Is it the Babylonian? Is it the Jerusalem? Which version? Or not even mention the versions and see what they say. Most of them don't even know what it is. Most of them don't even know how many volumes are in the Talmud. Most of them don't even know that it's just a bunch of debates about people. And if one person says a negative thing, then it's just imagine it's a bunch of friends. One of them says a negative thing. It doesn't mean that all the friends agree with this one specific person. So when I mean about people repeating lies, for example, if Candace Owens is going to say one thing and I hear the same people repeating exactly the same thing that Candace Owens said without researching what she said whatsoever, then that's what I talk about. It's a cycle of repeated lies. And when people hear it more and more and more and more, they hold truth to it because they're like, if Candace Owens said it and Tucker Carlson said it and Nick Fuentes said it, it must be true. But they don't know that Tucker Carlson took that from Candace Owens. They don't know that Candace Owens took that from Nick Fuentes, and they don't know that Nick Fuentes took that from a fake Twitter account that posts fake information about the Jews. They don't know. But to them, it's a repeated cycle of information. So they're like, oh yeah, it must be confirmed. All of these incredibly reliable people said so. You know? It's dangerous. Dangerous stuff. But we have to create our own narratives. We have to rely on our incredibly powerful X accounts like Vivid that post incredible pro-Israeli content. And there's intelligence X accounts that also post incredible content that I follow daily. We have to build our own platforms and spread the narrative the way it should be spread, because that's the only way to beat them. The only way. Yes, they have big audiences, but take a look at Tal, almost hitting 1 million subscribers. Take a look at me, almost hitting 1 million subscribers. Take a look at other pro-Israeli creators. Take a look at yourself. Stand Tall Israel. You have incredible content. We have to create our own platforms, our own systems, and spread our information that way. That's the only way.
Yeah. And obviously, people see that when you're debating, you stay calm while they're screaming. We spoke about this. Has it always been easy for you to do that? Is that how you are as in general? No.
No. Absolutely not. No. Somebody's got to get that anger somehow, right? I have to channel that anger to somebody. So the person that is getting the negative effects is my wife, you know? But it's not personal. She knows it's not personal. I'm not actually I don't get mad at her or anything, but it's a frustrating situation because I realize that the best way to have debates is to keep your calm, keep your cool, remain collected. And when somebody curses your mom or your family or talks negatively about your brothers and sisters, then how can you remain calm? How can you stay calm? How can you stay peaceful? So sometimes I have days where I'm struggling like crazy. Sometimes I also have days where I explode at the people that say that. I can't just sit there and take that. But it takes practice. After so many conversations of, debating this topic, it's a muscle. You learn how to develop it. You learn how to keep your cool. But yeah, sometimes I just want to explode. I want to scream. I want to go all out at the people speaking that negatively about me and about my people. So yeah, it's never been easy. I don't think it's ever going to get easy, but it's a muscle and you train it and you just take a deep breath. And before I start my streams, I sit like this and I cool myself. I relax myself because I know I'm entering into a battleground where lies are going to be thrown my way, where people are going to say that we worship Baal, where people are going to say that we are Satan, where people are going to say false things about us. And I just have to sit there and take that and try to debunk that. And sometimes when you're angry, it overpowers you. It's difficult, really difficult. But if anybody here is watching and wants to do the same thing, I encourage it. I think it's blessed. And I think that's the way to change the face of the planet in regards to Islam versus the West. That's the way to do it. Join the movement, do it. That's the way to go.
Are there people that admit to you, yeah, you're right? Yeah.
100%.
Most people would just skip to the next person or just try to run away from you when they're losing the debate. But
so a few days ago, I had a conversation with a person. He spoke to me in Hebrew and he said he's Palestinian and he sounded really fluent. You know, he spoke Hebrew fluently, no accent whatsoever. And after a few minutes, he started saying, you know what, I'm going to tell you, but you can't share this with anyone. He said, my father was a Hamas operative and he killed Jews in Hebron. And that specific moment changed my mind about the whole situation because I couldn't believe my father would do such a thing. I was 8 years old. And my father, first of all, he made the family collapse because he's still in prison. He's sitting in prison already, I think, for 19 years. The entire family collapsed. And he said today, if an Israeli soldier would come to my house, the same Israeli soldier that came to check our house after what my father did, I would probably kiss him because I realized that the Jews are incredible people. They gave us work. They allow us to prosper. They're not the people who have a problem with us. So this is just one example of a conversation that I had. This specific person didn't change his mind. I mean, but we did have a conversation, and he said, you know what? Yes, you are right. Hamas are savages. They are animals. I could take that same example from my dad. So they do admit those situations. I can't post them, so that sucks that people can see that. But one of the reasons why I started joining this whole YouTube space is because my wife and I had a conversation with a person from Ramallah. He was incredibly hostile at first. He said, that we are colonizers, we are occupiers, we kill their parents, we kill their family. And then I told him, listen, I genuinely have a question for you. If you decide right now you want to cross the border from Judea and Samaria to Israel, what do you think is going to happen to you? He said, I don't know, you seem nice. I said, no, genuinely, what do you think is going to happen to you? You cross the border, you go to Tel Aviv, what do you think is going to happen to you? You go sit at the cafe, what do you think is going to happen to you? He said, I don't think anything is going to happen to me. I said, okay. And what do you think will happen to me if I come with you to Nablus? He said, oh, we're probably going to beat the shit out of you. I said, you see the difference? One side is tolerant, and one side wants to beat me up. And he said, you know what? You got a point. You got a point. And we got to a point where he admitted he wants to visit Israel. He wants me to show him around. From a really hostile conversation to a completely changed mind about the country, to admitting that his friends would beat me up and kill me, but he would be safe in Israel. So that happens all the time. But from that moment, I started recording the conversations because I was like, well, there's a lot of power on Omi TV, a lot of power on these platforms where we can actually have face-to-face conversations, expose the other side, see what they say, what they think. That's the best way, 100%. And also, there's an Instagram highlight that I have. It's called Changed Minds, and people there, they messaged me and said, I used to be pro-Hamas and now I'm pro-Israel thanks to your content. There's about 30, 40 messages on this highlight. So if those are the people who had the balls to message me and write me that they changed their minds, just imagine how many more people are there out there having the same thoughts.
For sure, for sure. Are there any other memorable moments that you've had debating stuff that you couldn't post, or other crazy moments that you've had since doing this?
Many Iranians that I talked to, before even the 12-day war, before the current war, many of the Iranians that I talked to were so loving and so peaceful, and I couldn't post them because when I asked for permission, they said it's going to get my family killed in Iran. You can't do that. There's going to be fatwa on my head. I can't just let you post this. So the fact that the specific conversations that I have were able to change my mind about the Iranians, because I didn't have this specific thought about Iranians. Iranians are incredible people, and every time I talk to Iranians, I get to see that. Every time, they show their face and they say that they want to be able to visit Israel, they want us to be able to visit Tehran and Iran and eat their food, and they could eat our food. Every time I talk to Iranians, I find out more how incredible these people are. So the Iranians, that's just one thing. I had a conversation with an Islamic Republic of Iran soldier who said, if Ayatollah tell me to come to your country, I don't know if you saw that video.
I think so.
Tells me to come to your country and kill your children and kill your women. Hey, under the orders of Ayatollah, I do this. And I asked him, what would happen if you have nuclear weapons? He said, we send it to you. We send it to Israel. The extremes in Iran, it's incredible. Either you have incredibly loving people that support Israel and support the Jews and support the West and want to live in peace, or you have people that are literally genocidal and want Israel to be destroyed for their Islamic belief. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. So yes, I had many incredible conversations. I can't really recall all of them, at the top of my head, but
now you've called Iran the head of the snake. How much of what we've been seeing online actually traces back to Iran, not just the terror, but the propaganda against Israel?
So, first of all, when people say Israel attacked Iran first, right? They love to say that. Are we ignoring the Iranian force that's at the northern part of Israel? Are we ignoring Hezbollah? Are we ignoring the same organization that's getting funded by Iran for many, many years? And I'm talking about Hamas. Are we going to ignore the Houthis in Yemen that are being funded and trained, and weapons are being sent by Iran to the Houthis in Yemen? Are we going to ignore the Shia militias in Syria and in Iraq? Are we just ignoring that? So this whole thing is a mass operation to, first of all, destroy the Jews, to surround the Jews, be close to them and fire rockets at them. Second of all, it's to alienate them from the public opinion. And how do we do that? We always say, yes, they fired at our civilians, they fired at our hospitals, they fired at our schools. Emotional argument only. You know, one of the main arguments that I hear from the pro-Iranian crowd is the Minab school. This one is being driven out like crazy. People always talk about the Minab school, but they fail to mention that the Minab school was a part of what exactly? An IRGC military base. It's a part of it. It's inside it. But then it was just, they separated it, but kept it in the same premise. So of course, in war you have atrocities. In wars you have horrific situations. But Iran isn't going to push that. They're going to push the school. They're going to push the hospitals. They're going to push southern Lebanon being destroyed. They're going to push all of that because that's what works on the world. And in order for their Mahdi to come back, which is an Islamic belief, according to them, Israel must be destroyed. Israel must be destroyed. The whole thing is a religious argument. It's got nothing to do with land. It was never about land, only about religion. We are getting killed because we are Jews. We are din battles. We are canceled religions. And by the way, I interviewed Dr. Mordechai Kedar just a few days ago, and he said, they don't hate us for being in Israel. They hate us for what we are. They don't care about the fact that we're in Israel. Because if you ask them right now, if all the Jews right now in Israel would convert to Islam, would you invade us on October 7th? They say, no. What reasoning would we have to invade you? I mean, so now the Muslims are controlling Al-Aqsa. What reason would we have to attack you? The whole thing is a Muslim argument. Nothing to do with land. Nothing. And people need to get this. Because if you focus only on Israel versus the Arabs in the region, then it's minutia. It's nothing. Focus on the bigger picture. It's Islam versus the West. It's first the Jews, then the Christians. The Hindus are already getting persecuted. The Buddhists are already getting persecuted. We are all kuffars to them. And according to Islam, there's a term called Dar el-Kharb and Dar el-Islam. Dar el-Kharb is the house of war. Every house, every country that is currently not under the house of Islam is currently at a state of war. So Islam, if you want to get to a state of peace where there's no war, Islam must conquer you. Islam must dominate you. How do they get this? First, they create an Islamic caliphate. Israel right now is the only thing in the way for the Muslims. We have Lebanon, which is a Muslim country, Muslim majority country. We have Syria, which is a Muslim majority country. We have Jordan, which is a Muslim majority country. We have Egypt, which is a Muslim majority country. We have, what else? We have, I think I said Syria. We have Saudi, we have Qatar, we have the UAE. Israel is the only thing in the way. The only thing in the way. So in order for us to spread the Islamic Caliphate, we have to get rid of them. And once we do that, then we will continue our work in Europe. And then we will continue our work in Africa. We will continue our work in the West. Because the main goal of Islam is to unify the world under the Islamic belief. The whole thing is Islam. Nothing to do with land.
Do you think that this war could be won without boots on the ground? What is your assessment of
Talking about Iran.
Iran? Yeah.
I think we have to have boots on the ground. Not necessarily, I don't think it needs to come from the Americans or from the Israelis, but there's opposition forces inside Iran that could fight this disgusting regime. We have some Baluchi forces, opposition forces that could fight from the south. We have some of the Kurdish forces from the northern western part of Iran, which are closer to Turkey. Of course, these people hate the Islamic Republic of Iran just as much as the Persians. So if we actually have an opposition force from the inside fighting the people and changing the direction of the AK-47s directed at the civilians, that's the only way to change this regime. The only way. You can try to strike them from the air as much as you want. It's going to change the situation for Israel, and it's going to change the situation for the Gulf states and for the United States and for Europe, but it's not going to change the situation for the people inside Iran. It's not going to change that. In order to change that, you have to have somebody on the inside dismantling these people. And how do we do that? Boots on the ground. Again, not necessarily from the United States and Israel, from opposition forces inside Iran.
Sahar, I want to thank you for your time. You're an inspiration for all of us, for me, for all the content creators, pro-Israel content creators. I just want you to keep up what you're doing. You're really making a difference. People, I guess, already know how to find you, but maybe you can repeat it and to give us a finally.
So first of all, you can find me on SaharTV on all the platforms, on YouTube, on X. My X is really small, so if you guys want to help me grow my X account, that would be awesome. Instagram, of course, SaharTV. That's how you find me. Final message. If you're a Jew, a Christian, a trapped Muslim and you're watching this, if you want to change the face of the planet, if you want to change the face of the world and not get conquered, not get colonized, then my suggestion to you is learn about the topic and join this movement. Do the same things that all of us do. This is not just a private thing for Sahar. It's not a private thing for Tal. It's not a private thing for Talia. In order to change the narrative, we have to be an army of social media warriors. How do we do this? Read books. Educate yourself about the topic. Watch videos. Watch Stand Tall Israel. They're incredible, an incredible resource. Watch Unpacked. Watch resources and YouTube channels that are going to educate you and teach you exactly what you need to know about the topic. Once you do that, open a camera and record conversations you have with people. Once you do that, post those videos. I'm sure that people like me and myself would love to help you spread those videos, post them online, and of course, get the message out there. That is the only way to change the narrative. The only way. If you have a conversation with a person and that person is not allowing you to record the conversation, move on. It's not worth it. The point is not to change the opinion of the person you're speaking with. It's to change the opinion of the people watching. If I'm watching a debate with a person, one person is nice, one person is evil, I'm going to side with the nice person, no matter what. Record your conversation. You know how many conversations I walked away from because they refused for me to record the conversation? You know how many? I could probably 500. I say, can I record? They say, no, I keep going. I don't even waste my time. Record the conversations. Use your platforms as systems to spread that information out there. Allow people to absorb that information as much. The more information you release, the better. And that's how we change the narrative. That's how we take the narrative back. That's all. That's the message I have. And just know that I love you and I appreciate your support. And thank you for looking up to me. I'm just a normal person who just knows how to record videos, edit them, and post them. But I really appreciate the support from every person that supports me. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sahar. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much.
If you have a 401k or an IRA, please listen. Gold is at record highs. What many people don't know is this. You can move part of your retirement money legally and without tax penalties into physical gold you actually own. Alpha Omega Gold helps you do this through a gold IRA. Your gold is real. It is stored safely. It is in your name. Learn more at ao.gold/stand. Alpha Omega Gold is our sponsor, and they proudly stand with Israel.